You can go 24 hours without fiber and not notice a thing. But inside her body, something begins to slow down almost immediately. Your intestines become less efficient. Your hunger becomes harder to control. Your energy starts to fluctuate. And here's the little problem you might already be experiencing. That feeling of slight bloating, hunger at odd hours, or strange tiredness in the middle of the day may not be stress. It could be a lack of fiber. And what's most worrying, this begins even before you notice any serious symptoms. Today you'll see, hour by hour, what really starts to change inside your body when fiber disappears from your diet, and what starts to shut down first. But be warned, the first change happens much faster than most people imagine. If you want to understand what your body does silently every day, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because what you're about to discover could change the way you assemble your plate tomorrow. Now, let's start with the first invisible reaction that happens in the first few hours without fiber. Today you wake up in a rush. You grab a coffee, maybe a piece of white bread, and leave the house. It seems like a normal day, but there's something missing from your plate: fiber. You don't see, feel, or hear anything different, but inside your body, your gut notices immediately. Imagine it's like a treadmill that needs natural brushes to function properly. Fiber is that brush. Without it, the movement starts to slow down. It doesn't stop completely. It just loses rhythm. While you work, study, or drive, your intestines begin to work less efficiently. They try to compensate, using more effort, but they already understand that they are running out of fuel. And when fuel is lacking, the body needs to decide where to get energy to continue functioning properly. But that's just the beginning, because in the next few hours, it's not just the movement that changes. Something microscopic, invisible to the naked eye, begins to feel hunger. And that's when the real transformation begins. Imagine your body is a city that functions non-stop all day long. In the morning, you wake up, have a quick coffee, and leave. White bread, coffee, maybe something processed. No fruit, no oatmeal, no beans. It seems like just another ordinary day. But inside your city, a silent warning light has just come on. Fiber is like the garbage truck that runs through the streets of the intestines, keeping everything organized. When it doesn't arrive, traffic starts to slow down. Nothing gets blocked all at once. It just slows down a bit. The intestines continue working, but with less efficiency. They start to expend more energy to do the same job. As you go about your routine, your body senses that something essential is missing. It tries to adapt, redistributes effort, adjusts its pace. But this comes at an invisible cost. Internal movement slows down. The feeling of satiety can change, and a slight imbalance begins to develop, even if you don't feel anything yet. And if you think it ends there, that's when the most interesting part begins. Because in the next few hours, it's not just the movement that changes. Something microscopic inside you starts to feel hungry. Create a dynamic text that anyone, even a child, can understand. Consider topic 2. Create a structured text that sparks the audience's curiosity by showing what actually happens in the topic. The last paragraph is a sample of the following topic. Use 1235 characters. Use storytelling. Now imagine that inside your body live trillions of little helpers. These are good bacteria that live in your gut. They work for you all the time. They help protect you, produce important substances, and even keep your mood balanced. But there's a catch. Their favorite food is fiber. When you go hours without eating fiber, these little helpers start to feel hungry. It's as if an entire city woke up and couldn't find food on the shelves. Some bacteria become weaker, others slow down. The production of protective substances begins to slowly decline. You don't feel pain. You don't feel alarmed. But inside, the gut's protection starts to become less efficient. The barrier that separates what should enter the body from what should stay out begins to weaken. It's something subtle, almost invisible, but the balance is no longer the same. And when that protection weakens, the next system that starts to feel the change isn't the gut, it's the blood. Sugar control system. Several hours have passed without fiber. On the outside, the day continues as normal. You work, talk, get things done. But inside, something begins to change in your body's sugar control. Imagine that the sugar in food is like cars entering a highway. Fiber acts like an intelligent traffic light, controlling the speed of those cars. When it's present, everything flows smoothly. The The cars enter gradually. The energy arrives in a stable way, but the traffic light isn't working properly today. Without fiber, sugar enters the bloodstream too quickly. It's as if all the cars were released at once. The glucose level rises faster. Your body reacts by releasing more insulin to try to regulate the traffic. For a moment, it seems like everything is resolved, but then comes the fall. And it's during this dip in balance that you might start to feel something strange. Increased hunger even after eating recently, cravings for sweets, slight fatigue, difficulty concentrating. It's not weakness on your part. It's your body trying to rebalance itself. This fluctuation doesn't happen by chance. It's a direct response to the absence of fiber slowing down sugar absorption. And when your blood sugar starts to fluctuate, the first person to notice this instability isn't your stomach, it's your brain. Now something even more interesting begins to happen. It's not just your gut and sugar that feel the lack of fiber. Your brain gets involved too. There's a direct connection between the gut and the brain, like a constantly active phone line. When everything is balanced down there, the message that goes up is one of reassurance. Everything is fine. But today, after hours without fiber, the message is starting to change. Remember those good bacteria that were getting hungry? They help produce important substances, like part of serotonin, which influences your mood and sense of well-being. When they work less, this production can decrease. It's subtle, but real. You might start to feel a little irritable, less patient, have difficulty focusing, or experience a sense of unstable energy. Nothing extreme, just a slight internal misalignment. Your brain senses this metabolic instability and begins to act more cautiously. It goes into protection mode. When the body seems less stable, the brain tries to conserve energy and keep everything under control. And when the brain activates this more conservative mode, another change begins to emerge. Your body starts to expend energy differently, and your metabolism feels this in the following hours. It's already the end of the day. You might not even remember that you ate almost no fiber, but your body does. After the brain enters protection mode, it begins sending a clear message to the rest of the body. Let's conserve energy. It's as if the city decided to dim the lights to use less energy. Without fiber, the feeling of fullness is reduced. You feel hungry sooner and more intensely. It seems like your stomach is never completely satisfied. This happens because fiber helps to add bulk to food and slow down digestion. Without it, everything goes by faster, and hunger returns faster too. At the same time, bowel movements begin to slow down. They don't stop completely, but they lose rhythm. It's like a treadmill that remains running, only at a reduced speed. The slower it moves, the longer the waste remains inside. And when the intestines slow down, something begins to change in the internal environment. Substances that should be eliminated spend more time in the body. Internal pressure increases, discomfort may arise, and the balance that seemed small begins to become larger. But what really starts to shut down in the next few hours isn't just the movement, it's the efficiency of the system as a whole. We're now approaching 24 hours without fiber. On the outside, you might think nothing unusual has happened, maybe just a little hungrier, some slight bloating, or less energy. But on the inside, the entire system is no longer functioning with the same efficiency. Think of your body as a very organized factory. Each sector depends on the other. When fiber is present, it helps keep the machines clean, the rhythm steady, and communication running smoothly. But after a day without it, some gears start to lose performance. The intestinal barrier becomes less efficient. The production of protective compounds decreases. Bowel movements are no longer as regular. Blood sugar control becomes more unstable throughout the day. Nothing suddenly breaks down, but the system is at a disadvantage. It's as if your factory continues to operate, only with less protection and more effort. And the more effort the body needs to make to maintain balance, the greater the wear and tear over time. And here comes the most important question. If just 24 hours already causes this silent effect, what happens when this is repeated for several days in a row? That's exactly where the real risk begins to appear. Now think about something simple. A day without fiber might seem like a small number, but what if that one day becomes routine? 2 days, a week, a month? That's when the story changes. Remember the factory operating at a slower pace? If this happens repeatedly, the machines begin to adapt to the slower rhythm. The microbiota changes composition. The good bacteria decrease. The less favorable ones can gain ground. The intestinal barrier becomes increasingly sensitive. Sugar control can become more unstable. The body begins to learn a new pattern, and this pattern is not the ideal one. You may notice more bloating, more difficulty controlling hunger, more sugar cravings, and less energy throughout the day. Nothing dramatic right away, but it's consistent, and what is consistent shapes the body. The real problem isn't a day without fiber. It's when the body starts to reorganize itself to live without it. Because when that happens, the metabolism can change more profoundly than you imagine. And that's exactly what we're going to reveal in the next video. What happens after 7 consecutive days without fiber, and how the gut begins to reprogram itself. If today was surprising, the next step is even more impactful. If this content opened your eyes, leave a like and subscribe now, because understanding what happens silently inside your body can be the decision that changes your health before the problem even appears.